So for starters, to start the machine, turn the key forward. You'll see the glow plug light will illuminate as long as it's below 50 degrees. Normally, it's warm out today, so it's not going to light up. In the winter or anytime it's below 50 degrees, you're going to want to let that cycle at least once. If it's really cold, maybe cycle it twice. You can also hold the key in the back position, and that will also activate the glow plugs. You can hold that for maybe 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and then fire the tractor up. There's no need for any starting fluid, any ether, anything like that. That's just gonna wreck it, blow the motor. We do about 1 engine rebuild a year because somebody doesn't listen to that. There's cold starting aids like the glow plugs and grid heaters to prevent any starting issues in the winter. If it's not starting in the winter, you're going to probably, first thing I would do is look at your fuel, make sure your fuel filter is not frozen. This one does have the sight glass, so you can see if it's actually frozen or not. Right there, you can see that's clear red off-road diesel right there. If it's foggy, then it's either got moisture in it or it's frozen. And that would be your starting issue. So as long as your battery's charged and your fuel isn't frozen, you should never really have too much of a starting issue with this. As for the controls here, it's raining so I won't sit, but the start sequence, essentially this is your main shifter, low, medium, high. You're gonna wanna put that in neutral, or you can put it side to side like that. Neutral, on the seat, and I believe you press the brake on this model to start it, okay? It also won't start if your PTO switch is engaged. If that's engaged like that, it's not gonna start. That's a safety. If you had like a brush hog on it, you don't want it to just fire up and chop up your children.
Well, you haven't met my children, maybe.
maybe actually, let's remove that safety. Also, it'll give it trouble starting if this is engaged while the backhoe's off. So right now, we want that in the B position, detented into the B position. But if you were to remove the backhoe, make sure to put this in neutral. Otherwise, you'll be deadheading the hydraulics. The tractor will probably crank. It might start to sputter, but once it gets colder outside, you're gonna notice it's probably not gonna wanna start. Okay, and also when you do start it, if the throttle isn't already at 0, it's going to stay, well, 0 is essentially what it's reading, right? 0% throttle. It's obviously gonna idle at like 1,000. So it's not gonna wanna rev up if you're already at like 20% throttle. You have to bring it back to 0 and then rev it up. That's like a safety, so the motor gets the oil pressure up before it kind of revs up, right? That should be most of the start sequence. Your brake pedal is splittable here. That way you can steer tighter if you're going through the woods or pulling logs or something like that. Essentially, it'll pivot off of the brake that you stop, as long as it's in 2-wheel drive, which I'll kind of go over the main controls here. This is your forward and reverse pedal. There isn't anything crazy about that. If the pedals are starting to get stiff, maybe it's time to change the hydraulic oil. Some of the springs and stuff down there can get bent or something. That's somewhat common, but as long as everything's lubricated down there, once in a while maybe spray all the linkages down with like a PB blaster or a fluid film to keep everything moving easy. You shouldn't really have any issues with the pedal as long as you do that and or don't bend things. This is your loader joystick. Up, down, left, right. This is also the loader joystick lock. That way you don't bump it when you're hopping on and off the machine. If you got something valuable on the forks, you don't want them to just tip by accident. So that's what that's for. But obviously still don't trust your life with the loader or whatever you're picking up. Hydraulic lines can burst, it does happen. This is your 3-point hitch lift and lower. Most tractors have that in the same position right there. It also is connected to this linkage back here, if you see that moving as well. That's just directly connected. That way you can connect the 3-point hitch and implement back here alone, single-handedly, because as long as the machine's running, you can operate it, the height of the 3-point hitch with that lever back here. What else? All right, that's most stuff on that side. This related to your 3-point hitch, that is your 3-point hitch speed knob. We usually put it towards the rabbet. That way the customer doesn't call and say that it doesn't move. Oftentimes your heel might hit it if you're hopping on here. It might slowly rotate it or something. If that's the case, and you slowly turn all the way to the slow position, it will stop moving. It won't go down, essentially. The 3-point hitch won't go down. Okay. But you adjust that if you had like a weight box or a heavy snowblower on the back. So when you're back there hooking it up and you move that linkage down, it doesn't just drop and crush your foot.
Right. Okay.
Four-wheel drive shifter right here. That's again very similar gear setup as the main gear selector. If this isn't engaging or if this isn't quite engaging, that's simply because the gears are not quite lined up. There's no synchros on any of that. That's just straight cut gears, you know.
Yeah.
Teeth look like that. You just got to rotate things and line them up. So sometimes to get those to go in, you just nudge the forward pedal just a little bit.
Okay.
Nudge the forward or reverse pedal. The gears will move. You know, put a little pressure on that. It's just going to pop right in. Diff lock. This locks your rear axle together. The differential is normally an open differential. That means power goes to the side that's spinning.
Ask you a question. Gary Reardon, Paul's taking one. Sorry.
All right, where were we? Diff lock, yes. So the differential sends power to the wheel that's slipping, essentially. That's the way an open diff works. But you want the open diff so they can turn at different ratios. Mm-hmm. So for the one time that you don't want them turning at different ratios, you're climbing over your pile of rocks and Warren. Press that down. That's only going to go down so far right now, but essentially once the tires turn at their different ratios enough, it's going to find that point that locks in. You'll feel it kick down again, and then that is you know, when they're locked together, essentially.
Okay.
Parking brake lever right here. Push the pedal down, pull the handle back, engage. There's a couple different teeth, so if you just push the pedal down further, there's a setting that's stronger and stronger for a steeper hill. And then this blue lever right here is simply for your tilt steering wheel. Okay. And while we're right here, I'll kind of show you a little bit about the regen. So some customers get confused. A lot of customers call thinking there's an issue with their tractor. This regen light, or lamp rather, you're gonna see this on the dash up here, okay? If you see that symbol, that means probably do a park regen. Put the brake on, put it in neutral, has to be warmed up, throttle at 0, press and hold this for 5 seconds. The RPMs will bump up maybe 200, and then you will be able to do the regen.
How you doing?
Oh. These two, if you can show here, these two lamps, those two red indicators, right?
Yep.
That upper one matches the button. The lower one doesn't. The lower one is the one that will come on when it feels essentially the Goldilocks conditions. That's kind of what I like to call it. If it's revved up and warmed up and I mean like around PTO speed, so somewhere between those two yellow symbols, type of revved up pretty much most of the way. If it's revved up, warmed up, and it notices that the diesel particulate filter has soot built up in it, I think after about 20%, it's like, okay, it's building up. I'm gonna start to burn off that soot while it's at that point. So that's that lamp. If that just comes on while you're working and it stays on for 30 minutes, that's what you want. That's the most ideal scenario, other than running the tractor so hot that it never comes on. That's the only other possible option that's better, and that would be just once it's warmed up, rev it all the way up all the time. That's where it's the most efficient. That's where it's making 42 horsepower or whatever. That's where it's making the least amount of soot, is revved up all the way. But not everybody needs that much power. Not everybody revs them up all the way. So it will slowly collect soot. And when it does, that bottom light will come on when it sees fit, and the top one will come on once it's getting really full. That's like 80 to 90% full. I want to say it comes on at 80% and then it comes on at 90% again. After 90%, you got about 10 minutes before you're going to be calling me because it's got a check engine light. You know, you can imagine an engine breathing through a straw, right? That's what 95% looks like. So don't want that. There's also a video on our YouTube channel where I explain all of that over again.
Okay.
But mainly, top one comes on, go inside, eat lunch, whatever, stop what you're doing. Make sure when either of those come on, make sure that the tractor is not in a field or around flammable things. This exhaust will turn purple. It gets really hot, and it can potentially light a field on fire if that was the case. And for that reason, you have this inhibit switch. So if you saw this bottom light coming on, the one that has kind of the thermometer, right? If you saw that bottom one coming on while you're mowing a field that's 2 feet tall, you're gonna wanna press that. You're gonna wanna say no, just so you don't burn the whole field down. But then keep that in mind. You inhibited it, it noticed it's kind of full. Maybe once you're done, you know, go inside and just let it run, let it do its thing, do the park regen, and then you know, have some peace of mind that it's done. That's most of the controls here. We can move on to the backhoe. Backhoe controls, all these labels pretty much have the directions on them. These are your outrigger controls. This will lift the main boom up. This will lift the main, or push the main boom down. This one is the dipper stick, so that would kind of be like the elbow, right? And then this is side to side on the whole boom, and this is curl and curl on the bucket. Okay. You have this for shipping. That goes there, so it doesn't swing side to side, because it will. And then there's also this latch right here. You can lift up on the boom and then lift that up. Essentially, that latch, along with these outriggers latches, are so it doesn't sag down. About 1 inch an hour is pretty standard for pistons this size and this style. We've discussed with Kioti multiple times. Some people are like, oh, it's sagging too much. This is not allowable. Especially when moving a machine, if you don't put these on, I would expect bouncing around. These things are gonna sag pretty darn fast. 1 inch an hour is being parked, right? Off. If you're bouncing around through a field with some rocks in it, without those, they're gonna sag. You're not even gonna be looking back here. It's gonna be right here. You're gonna take out your fence post. You're gonna take out your mailbox. Maybe your kids again, if you're lucky. All right. And then hooking up the 3-point hitch. I usually like to hook this side up first. There's no adjustment on this side other than this main pin. So hook up this side on your implement. Then you can adjust this turnbuckle to raise and lower this side to wherever that pin is. Oftentimes, you know, you take off an implement, it's on uneven ground. So that's kind of the purpose for that. And obviously, like we mentioned before, you can lift and lower back here as long as the machine's on. And once your implement is on and you get this, you know, adjusted how you want it, you re-level it once you're hooked up. That's when you want to tighten up your turnbuckles so your implement doesn't move side to side. And also, while we're back here, taking the backhoe off, these frame designs are one of the easier designs to remove. Essentially what you do, set the outriggers down and take these bottom pins out, okay? I'm just gonna ask a question, but take these bottom pins out. There's just a clip on the bottom, one here and one here. Take those bottom pins out. You're gonna take the weight off of the whole backhoe with the outriggers and with the main boom. You're gonna kind of wanna tip it back just a little bit, and that'll kind of be somewhere close to the sweet spot of being able to drive the tractor forward. Once you remove those pins, you can drive forward. So pull forward, as long as you got it, you know, set up pretty good, it should slide out pretty darn easy. Pull forward maybe a foot, then you can come back here, you know, set your tractor back in neutral, parking brake, come back here, lower the whole backhoe to the ground, find that position that it, you know, it wants to be in, and just let it fall to that position. And then you can put this in neutral right there and disconnect your quick couplers right here. Okay. And I highly recommend putting these caps back on just so you don't introduce water and or dirt into the hydraulic system. If you swap these, notice this one's red, this one's white. If you put red on bottom, all you got to do to make it work is push this in the opposite direction. So push that to the A position if red was on the bottom. That's most operations, I'd say. You can, I don't know if you ever plan to remove the loader, but the loader has these side kickstands here. You can lift this up, find the position that's best, usually the center, and leave your forks or the bucket on the front, and essentially you can use the loader, suck this piston in all the way. That will give you, more than likely, that will loosen up this pin. You can then pull the clip on the back side, pull that off, and remove that pin. Once you remove that pin, there's one on the other side, do the same thing. Then you can use the hydraulics to curl back, and that will lift this whole shoulder up. Once it's up, you're pretty much unhooked. All you got to do is back away from it and disconnect your quick couplers right here that are all color coded. Do it on firm ground, not in mud. I promise you will you'll spend 3 hours trying to put this loader back on if it's in mud. If it's uneven, not fun at all. Disconnecting and reconnecting the quick attach is as easy as that, one on each side. While those are up, be cautious not to scoop into this and bend these levers, right? While you're scooping into your other implement. Keep this area clean around the pins, as well as keep the turning seal area clean on your front axle. This area right here. You're gonna want to keep that clean. If dirt gets in there, those seals will go bad. At some point in this tractor's life, I bet you those seals will go bad. Keep that area clean, you'll prolong that from happening, but it's one of the most common tractor repairs across all brands. This is one of the better design that has kind of like a cap over it, but dirt still does get in there.
Just hit it like with a pressure washer?
If you got a pressure washer, yeah, don't go too close, but just hit it, you know, 10 inches away, foot away, just to rinse it all out. Oftentimes in like a hay field or something, that'll get pull you know, weeds and hay into there, but also dirt as well if we go through some deeper mud. I've even seen kind of rocks just get stuck on there and kind of get gouged into the housing. So that's just one of the main areas you want to keep clean. And the reason I mentioned the quick attach area as well, putting those levers down is a major pain in the ass when it's all full of dirt, right?